So hi everybody and welcome back. This is C++ tutorials for absolute beginners. This is video 248 and in this video we are talking about the constructor again, but this time how to initialize variables with constructor. And we know this already when we watch this example here. Here is a constructor and this constructor is initializing with our initializer list, this one here, this variable here, and this kind of stuff we already know how to initialize a variable, but we know also that the constructor can initialize this variable in the body as well. So we have here two options, but we should use most time the initializer list because it has some more advantages, and there are cases where you can't all time use this constructor body to initialize variables. Okay, so far so good. This kind of stuff we know. And now let's watch what happens if we use a derived class, or in this case a struct. And we watch now the struct here and we watch the body of the struct. We see something strange. Here is again a constructor. This is just one constructor here. It is a default constructor. We have again our initializer list. It starts here with the colon, but this time it calls not a variable, it calls the struct itself, right? And the meaning of this is it is just calling the constructor of a struct, but this could be also as a class, by the way. This is just made an example with struct. We know class and struct are similar. And yes, this is the new thing which we have to learn and understand why they are calling here the constructor. The short answer is actually because it is not allowed to call a variable from a parent or base class directly from the constructor initializer list. What I mean with that is, it is this is the initializer list here. Here starts this little part, right? And it is not allowed to do the same thing like what we did here. You can see we have here is the initializer list. Here we call the variable directly because we are in the struct itself. We can call it directly. But here we are using this derived class. You can see I derive it from here. And this is just not allowed. There are some reasons, but we don't go in details now. But interesting is here, you are not allowed it call here directly, but if you would use it here in the body of the constructor, I would be allowed to assign this value here, this variable here a value. Here in the constructor, it is allowed if you have the right access permission. What I mean with access permission, again, we are inheriting, then we have check what is here. We're inheriting from B. Here's virtual. Okay, we know what virtual means now, but here is no access specifier. We know also what this means. This means we have to check this default access specifier, what stays here in front. This is a struct, not a class, which means here is an invisible public access specifier. And which means we are inheriting all from here in a public way, which means here this one is, by the way, also no access specifier defined in the body this time, which means this is by default public, and public inherited public stays public, which means in this body here I can access this n. I can write in this body n, for example, equal 1. They want to assign a number 1 to this n, so I can make it here. But here again in the initializer list it is not allowed, it is forbidden. So this is the new thing what we learn, and we will go more in details in the next video when I go to the example here with code and explain you this. But before we go to the next video, here one more thing about this constructor call. This constructor call allows us to initialize a variable which is private, and that was not possible before, or it was not possible in my body here. So you can see I can do initialize with this initializer here with the constructor called private variable from the parent class. And we know private variable is normally not accessible from the derived classes, but I'm not accessing it directly here. I call the constructor here, and that's why I can assign private variables in the parent class also values, because the constructor is allowed to assign anything to variables, even if they are in private section, in the protected section or public section, doesn't matter. The constructor is allowed. And this is also a very interesting difference. So you can see this initializer calling constructor can assign private values. Here I will never allowed to assign a private value from without private values. We have no access to private values in derived classes. All right, that's very important, that I will show you in the next video as well in the examples. And I think this is the kind of stuff what you have to learn the most. So again, in the next video, I make here these examples and we repeat a little bit this access specifiers, how they change, how they are working, and you can try to do this on your own as well. All right, I think that's it for this video. If you have any questions, write in the comment section. And with that said, have fun, never give up, and bye.